Begin this morning, though, with the war in Ukraine, where efforts to evacuate people from Mariupol are stalling again.
Yeah, Russia says it now completely controls the city. Yesterday, a convoy of buses carrying just 79 people reached a safer city. Today, no humanitarian corridors are open, despite calls from Mariupol's mayor for a full evacuation of the city. The mayor estimates more than 20,000 residents have been killed there. These new satellite images by American company Maxar show what that company says is a mass grave in a nearby town, appearing to grow bigger with time. Beyond Mariupol, Ukraine says that Russia has captured now more than 40 towns in the east on Thursday as part of its large-scale assault on the Donbas region. Yesterday, President Biden announced a new package of weapons worth $800 million, which he says will help Ukraine with this new phase of the war.
This package includes heavy artillery weapons, dozens of howitzers, and 144,000 rounds of ammunition to go with those howitzers. It also includes more tactical drones. We have to accelerate that assistance package to help prepare Ukraine for Russia's offensive that's going to be more limited in terms of geography, but not in terms of brutality. Not in terms of brutality.
NBC News global correspondent Raf Sanchez joins us now from Lviv. So, Raf, let's start with Mariupol. What is the latest on the situation there? And also, what more can you tell us about those images we just saw purporting to show a mass grave in a nearby town?
Joe, Mariupol city officials are saying this mass grave may be the site of one of the worst war crimes of the 21st century. They are saying there may be up to 9,000 bodies at this site. If that is the case, NBC News has not independently verified that, but if it is the case, that would be far worse than the horrors we saw in Bucha. Mariupol city officials say these bodies are buried in large trenches, sometimes one on top of another, wrapped up in plastic, and they say this was an effort by Russian forces to try to conceal evidence of war crimes by moving these bodies into these mass graves. Now, those images from Maxar show that site as of April 3rd, but Mariupol officials are saying it has been growing larger every single day since then. Russia has not commented on these claims about a mass grave. But, Joe, this may be just a very small taste of the horrors that we have yet to see inside Mariupol. Now, in the city center, those Ukrainian forces, along with a lot of civilians, are still holed up in the remains of that steel plant. Russia is refusing to agree to a humanitarian corridor of any kind to let them out. It is not clear how much longer they can hold out, given how desperately short they are at this point of food, water, and ammunition. But, Joe, we've said that every day for the last week, and yet they continue to do so. Joe?
They are still hanging in there. You know, Raf, Ukraine said the Russians captured more than 40 towns and villages in the eastern part of the country just yesterday. What are some of the key battlegrounds right now in the east?
So the Russians focus very much on those two key provinces of Donetsk and Luhansk. The governor of Luhansk saying 80% of his province is now under Russian control. He's urging civilians to get out of there while they still can. This is a very long front, Joe. It stretches 300 miles. And Ukrainian officials say they're fighting something that looks more like the Second World War here. And what they need most badly is artillery shells. President Biden announcing yesterday from the White House that that is what he's sending. You heard him just now saying 144,000 artillery shells are on their way to Ukrainian troops. That's enough to last them about 3 weeks. It's not a long time, but it is a very important stopgap. He's also sending around 120 Phoenix Ghost drones. Now, these are really interesting, Joe. The U.S. Air Force developed these in record time, just a couple of weeks, specifically with Ukraine in mind. They're what the Pentagon calls loitering munitions. You and I would call them kamikaze drones. They take off, they circle above their target, and then they slam into them with explosive effect. The first flights of weapons leaving the U.S. today, and they could be in the hands of the Ukrainians as early as this weekend, Jeff.
Raf, quickly, I want to ask you, this morning we heard from a Russian military official who said the goal is to take control of southern Ukraine and the Donbas region as part of this phase of the war. But he also said that would open up a path to a breakaway region in neighboring Moldova. That's a tiny country that's currently split by a separatist movement. How much should we read into those comments?
Yeah, Joe, this is new. The Russians have been saying for a long time the plan was to take all of the Donbass. This is the first time anyone is saying publicly that they also intend to capture southern Ukraine. The argument he gave was to create a land bridge from Crimea, annexed Crimea, through to Transnistria, which is this breakaway republic in Moldova. It's Russian-speaking. The Russians say that they are defenders of that republic. It is not clear if this is official Russian policy. It's coming from a general rather than from Putin himself. Joe, it's also not clear if the Russians actually have the troops they need to carry this out. But this is a development this morning. Joe?
Keep an eye on it. Raf Sanchez, thank you so much, Raf.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.